Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Some great stories that she and I will be discussing. So everybody's in the house except you. If you call, well, you're here too, and we love you here. 800-848-9222, though, if you want to have a conversation. So much going on in the news, of course. The fire hose of news continues, including the vice president of the United States, who is out in Los Angeles, and oh boy, it has erupted out there. It has erupted. There's some interesting things. The Democrats, of course, are having their own polling problems. Polling data is showing now that a lot of Americans are having thoughts, Trump's numbers, to be plain spoken about it, on handling the mass deportations are going down in the polls. Been seeing that since yesterday. I am not as concerned about that as maybe some people are. There are reasons that they're going down. If you look at the mainstream media accounts of what's going on with this battle over immigration and with deportations, we have been subjected to story after story about how horrible these deportations are, and they focus on people who have been held for deportation that draw sympathy. And also there were stories, and I think no one should just brush these aside casually and just say, oh, too bad. There are some stories emerging that in some of the detention centers, how shall we say, the services are less than lacking. And so, yes, that's something we don't want to see. That's something that if we think that people are being mistreated, then obviously people get upset about that. But I think the focus has not been, especially in the mainstream press, on what the good that it's happening. I saw another story the other day talking about the dramatic decrease in fentanyl overdoses in America. I don't think there has been enough time for anyone to construct yet what the impact has been on crime. And there is an impact. I would say, anecdotally, with nothing to back it up except my impression, that there seems to be a shift happening in terms of these episodes of violent crime that we have seen throughout the country, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there are a lot of good things happening with that account, and of course, those things are never highlighted. Just like the victims of crime, the murders that were taking place, like we have all these sympathy stories now for people that have been caught up in it, how it's affected their families. I have one here from, let's see, the New York Times, The Lessons of Trump's Fight with Los Angeles Over Immigration. And one of the things they talk about, they usually lead off with, this leads off typically. On June 7th, they talk about a landscaper, Cruz, was walking to buy tamales with his sister in San Bernardino when she saw a truck full of landscapers being detained by what appeared to be law enforcement officers in unmarked uniform. Cruz, a 28-year-old nurse's assistant, is the first-generation Mexican-American who was born in California, but her husband is an undocumented immigrant who worked on a similar landscaping crew. She asked only to be identified by her last name for her family's safety. Of course. Safety, yes. Concerns that nobody look up and find her undocumented husband. When the Trump administration raids targeting undocumented immigrants reached the city, word of the arrest spread quickly, but Cruz had not taken the news too seriously until she saw one for herself. The next week, her husband called to say he had been working on Waterman Avenue when a truck full of federal agents pulled up. They appeared from Homeland Security Investigations, one of the many federal agencies now scouring Southern California for undocumented immigrants. When an officer asked him if he had a visa, he told the truth. Minutes later, he was in the back of a government vehicle bound for the Metropolitan Detention Center. And so you get a hard luck story, and there are plenty of hard luck stories to be had. There have never been, from the mainstream press, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's the Washington Post, or any of the Los Angeles Times. This article prints out to, 9 or 10 pages. And you don't see these kind of articles about the victims of crimes that have been committed from people that don't have a legal right to be in the country. You don't see these kind of profiles profiling the life of those who are here who have done harm to America. You don't, because it's not the narrative that's wanted to, you also, that they want to have out there. You also don't see. You also don't see detailed stories on exactly the cost of all of this to America. What are the real costs of illegal immigration, not just to the budget, but to the ancillary services? You don't see the in-depth reporting on this issue. You don't see articles that are in any way truthful about the impact to the nation and how it affects the nation. In fact, I have in the soundbite somewhere a quote from a woman who just did her own analysis on what the population of illegal immigrants is in California versus the population of other states, and how that population of illegal immigrants has made California have more political representation than 22 American states. And that has an impact on national policy. But you don't see, so when a woman comes up on one of the social media platforms with that sort of analysis, but that's not the kind of analysis that you get out of the mainstream press on this. So yes, the press coverage is what it is, and we knew it. You have that, Carlos? Let's play it and just hear it.
Did you know that there are 22 states in the United States of America that have less than 3 million people in population total? Did you also know that in the state of California, there are 2.7 million illegal immigrants? Are you awake yet? That means congressionally and electoral college-wise, California, their illegals have as much say as 22 other states. Are you awake yet?
Boom. I mean, and she's talking about, what is she saying here? Because of the way our government is structured, population impacts the number of congressional districts. We're a representative republic. And the number of people that are counted in the census and population, and liberals have made it a point. We want illegals counted. It's been a court case. We want illegals counted. People that should not be in the country legally, we want them counted toward the population in terms of redistricting. A few weeks ago, we played a woman from Brooklyn, a representative from Brooklyn saying, hey, give me all the illegals in my district because of redistricting. I want the illegals in my district because it helps them retain political power. Well, this woman has figured out, okay, the population of people that are illegal in California represents a population that is bigger than almost 22 states in the United States. So representatively, their power is diluted politically. But you don't see that kind of analysis from any of the mainstream press. What you get are stories, hard luck stories, the lessons of Trump's fight with Los Angeles over hard luck stories of people who should not be here, who are now being detained, and they are all these stories designed to just tug at your heartstrings. And I'm not saying your heartstrings that we shouldn't feel anything. We should never become callous, I think, to people suffering. But there are also consequences for what people do that brings on that suffering, and we shouldn't lose sight of that either. Everything that is happening in California is happening by the design of Democrats who knew what they were doing to construct a state whose economy and whose political power that they like to brag about, fourth largest economy in the world, their political power was built on illegality, and they knew it while they were constructing it. This is how California changed from a blue state to a red state. I mean, from a red state to a blue state. It was, I'm going back to the days before they switched the colors up in the map. It used to be Republicans were the blue. Did you know that? Yeah, when it used to be Republicans were blue and Democrats were red, like the red commies. And then one election year, all of a sudden, that changed in the mainstream press. And ever since then, Republicans became red and whatever. But California used to be a Republican state until the state was rebuilt on the backs of illegality. And what is happening now is a consequence for that. And people should be thanking Donald Trump for actually taking this on. Now, we got to take a break. When we get back, we'll briefly touch into J.D. Vance's adventures in... Yes.
What about Arnold Schwarzenegger?
He was a rhino Republican. He was a Hollywood celebrity Republican governor who came in, and very little is said about his tenure as governor because it isn't really noteworthy. But yeah, he was the last quote-unquote Republican governor, but it was his celebrity that propelled him into the governor's mansion. As an effective governor, no. More known for, during the time of his governorship, he did two things. He made sure that Snooki got executed from a gang member, Snooki. That's probably one of the only executions in California, and I don't know when. They made sure to get rid of the black guy in the execution chamber that was sitting on death row for a while. That's Governor Schwarzenegger. And the other thing that he did that was noteworthy was him boinking the help while he was out there. And the story came out. He boinked the help, made her pregnant. His wife, former Kennedy, left him. Oh, yeah. It was all, yeah. You talk about the Schwarzenegger governorship, those two things. We got to take a break. 800-848-9222. James Goldman, Snerdley. Yes?
I got you. This is Coldplay went to number one. Back to number one on this day in actually tomorrow in 2008 with this song Viva la Vida. Hopefully I say it right. Across the pond, as you say.
Well, good selection too. It just shows your sensitivity to what's going on in the news. Viva la Vida. James Golden, Snerdley, keep it right here. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, yeah, this sounds like Marvin. It sounds like, oh, yeah, it does. It sounds like Marvin Gaye's, oh, wait, this isn't, oh, yeah, this is the ripoff song. It's Robin Thicke.
Still, I think it's, I know they stole it, but it's still, like, pretty catchy, though.
Yeah, it's a nice, catchy song because Marvin Gaye, when he wrote Got to Get It, yes, it was a great song. But in 2013, Robin Thicke decided to rip off, and yes, I can say it because the court found it. It made them pay Marvin Gaye's estate. Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, which is a ripoff of Got to Give It Up for Marvin Gaye. And it went to number one, stayed there for 13 weeks. Back in 2013, they paid the price. They had to pay Marvin Gaye's estate. James Golden, Snerdley here on the Saturday Morning Vibe. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to do first cut number 19. J.D. Vance went out to Los Angeles. He intended, of course, going to speak with some of the Marines out there. It was supposed to be a pretty non-eventful story. It has now turned into a very eventful story because while he was speaking to the press, Vice President J.D. Vance said this.
Lawmakers who keep getting handcuffed. The New York Times just did a story. They keep getting handcuffed, suggesting that the Trump administration is cracking down on. Can you comment on that?
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question, but unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't the theater. And that's all it is. You know, I think everybody realizes that's what this is. It's pure political theater. These guys show up. They want to be captured on camera doing something. They want to be able to go back to their far left groups and to say, look, me, I stood up against border enforcement. I stood up against Donald Trump, when all they're really standing up for is for drug cartels to run rampant over our country and sex traffickers to be able to continue to traffic little kids into our country. That's what you're doing when you stand against border enforcement. So I think these guys, we ought to laugh them out of the building. We ought to call them out for doing what they're doing, which is grandstanding. And if they want to work seriously on border enforcement and on keeping their communities safe, the Trump administration's door is wide open. But they're not doing that. They love the grandstanding. They hate law enforcement because they hate the idea of the United States of America having a border. It's a disgrace, but it is what it is.
Everything after the first 10 seconds of this will not be remembered at all. Everything that he so brilliantly stated after his opening has since been negated from the story. Next, why is that, you say? Well, let's check in with the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. This is why.
Mr. Vice President, how dare you disrespect our senator? You don't know his name, but yet you served with him before you were vice president, and you continue to serve with him today, because the last time I checked, the vice president of the United States is the president of the U.S. Senate. You serve with him today, and how dare you disrespect him and call him Jose? But I guess he just looked like anybody to you. Well, he's not just anybody to us. He is our senator. Mr. Vice President, how dare you disrespect our senator?
Yes, that's good. I'm not laughing at the thing, but everything else that he said after he called Alex Padilla, Jose Padilla, everything else is gone. It's just, that's now the story. And I don't think that J.D. Vance did that intentionally. You can almost hear, oh boy. Why is it funny? Why are you laughing? Because these people, the Karen Bass of the world, Democrats, they don't get upset over law enforcement being trampled. No.
Happy Pride! We celebrated our growing classroom by making our very own pride flags filled with attributes of things we are proud of about ourselves. First, we read some stories about the origin of the pride flag. Then we watched a video about what each of the colors of the pride flag means, like how red means life, orange means healing. Then as a class, we came together and we came up with a list of things that we are proud of about ourselves, like our names, our cultures, our languages, things that we're really good at. And they got to pick 6 of their favorite attributes about themselves. They added and drew up their own pride flag. They picked colors that meant something to them. And we wrapped up by talking about the importance of celebrating all the things that make us who we are and celebrating the diversity in our community. Happy Pride.
I'm sick of Donald Trump. I'm sick of his policies. I'm sick of being treated like a second-class citizen in the United States of America because I am a minority and a woman. I'm sick of not having health care. I'm sick of not earning a livable wage. I'm sick of everything this country represents right now. And most of all, I'm sick that we did not get to have Kamala Harris as our president.
I want to comment on 2 of those things. The first one, by the way, the first social media post you heard was from a woman who teaches a kindergarten class. That was what was going on in kindergarten. And the second woman is blaming her life on Donald Trump, doesn't have any health care. Well, Obama was supposed to fix that. Don't blame Trump. And everything else wrong with her life. She can't make a livable wage. Oh, whose fault is that? That's Trump's fault? You can't earn enough money? Oh, boy. And most of all, I'm sick that we don't have Kamala Harris. You had her for 8 years. That's the reason you don't have any health care. That's the reason your life is in shambles. What? If you're going to blame Trump, then we'll just blame Kamala for it. Instead of, by the way, you're in charge of your own life. Regardless of who's in power. Oh, and I don't mean to be messing up a great song with all this. This is one of the best songs ever, isn't it? Herb Alpert, 1968. 4 weeks at number 1 with this one. This Guy's in Love with You. By the way, this was the first song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David that went to number 1. It started their run. This Guy's in Love with You. James Golden, Snerdley, the Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Go back and let's, that one that we played, 16. One more time. You heard it. But folks, this is what's happening in kindergarten.
Happy Pride! We celebrated our growing classroom by making our very own pride flags filled with attributes of things we are proud of about ourselves. First, we read some stories about the origin of the pride flag. Then we watched a video about what each of the colors of the pride flag means, like how red means life, orange means healing. Then
enough of that. Tell me this is not, okay. All right, now you heard when J.D. Vance was talking about Senator Padilla. Play just the opening segment of that one more time, please, too, Carlos. That's 19. Just play the opening of it.
Lawmakers who keep getting handcuffed. The New York Times just did a story. They keep getting handcuffed, suggesting that the Trump administration is cracking down on. Can you comment on that?
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question, but unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't.
Well, some of the other Padillas are out there. He's making a big deal out of it. He says he's going to continue to do it. That's cut number 5, Carlos. And we're talking about now New York City Comptroller, Brad Padilla Lander.
I mean, I'm just going to speak really honestly. We have to find ways to gum up the works of this hideous system. Like, it's time for people to stand up and say we aren't going to allow that deportation machine without due process to roll over people's rights, and we are going to have to, in the tradition of nonviolent witness-bearing and resistance, find more and better ways not to allow our democracy to be eroded, not to allow people's rights to be trampled.
Just hold it for a minute, because it's the usual rant. I just want to point out something. When liberals talk about due process, first of all, people have a removal order, and that's that. They should be gone. And that's what the Trump administration is doing. What Democrats are talking about when they say due process, they want these cases, each one of them, to be able to drag through for years. Years. Now, let me just ask the staff a question. To your knowledge, is Kelvin at, well, I don't see Kelvin. Is she busy screening calls? Yes. All right. To your knowledge, Kelvin, how many illegal immigrants are in these United States of America?
Can I ballpark it? Is that fine with you?
Yes, please, by all means, ballpark it.
In the millions, I would say.
Okay, but
maybe in the tens, maybe in the tens of millions. So I'll go around 12, maybe 12 million illegal immigrants across the nation.
Okay, can I just give you some advice, and then I'll let you come up with your number. During the Biden administration, 11 million new illegal immigrants came in during the 4 years of Joe Biden. 11 million during Joe Biden's 4 years alone. Now, take another stab at the number.
All right, let's do 22 million. 25 million. Let's do that.
Okay. Carlos, your turn. How many illegal immigrants do you think are widely believed to be in the United States of America?
So the population is like close to 300, 400 million, right? Okay, I'm going to say a quarter, like 30 or 40. 40, actually.
Boom. It's right now the estimates are that there were about 20 million illegal immigrants in the country, north of 20 million, before Biden let in 11 million new illegal immigrants. So that would place the total number, if those numbers are accurate, at close to 30 million illegal immigrants living inside the United States. Now, let me ask you another question. This is simple. Let's say that 30 million illegal immigrants are in the United States. If each one of those illegal immigrants, if it took 2 years to work through a deportation for each one of them, how much time, in terms of collectively, how much time would that be before we could give every single person due process and remove them from the United States.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Kelvin, same question.
I agree with Carlos. It's just a lot. It's too much.
Okay, we would be talking, ladies and gentlemen, since these guys were confounded by the nature of the question and didn't realize this is just simple math. If it takes 1 million, if we got 30 million people, it takes a year to get one, to get them out. If let's say it drags on for 2 years, we are looking at a total of 60 million years in terms of time, in terms of judicial time. 60 million years to clear out the illegal immigration population the way the Democrats. In other words, Democrats want this to be permanent. There is no way that the court system of this country, and this is why Biden did what he did, they understand that if you flood the zone with illegal immigrants, we do not have the legal capacity as a nation to bring all these cases to adjudication quickly. It means that these people would be here, the majority. Yeah, you might get a few out, maybe 100,000, 300,000 a year. But overwhelmingly, you're not going to be able to adjudicate all of these cases because you are talking about if it takes an average of 2 years, and some of them go on longer, some go 3-4 years, we would be talking about a collective millions of judicial years to stop this invasion of America. And that's why what Donald Trump is doing is offending these people to no end. Because what he has done and what he is doing is pulling the rug out underneath their plan and saying, no, we're not going to let you tie up everyone. We are going to use the power vested in the executive branch to make a quick determination and to say, you've got an order to go. You're not supposed to be here. You're going. And that's the nature of this entire conflict. It involves money. It involves political power. The census of the United States, by counting illegal population, gives Democrats political power. With the political power comes more taxpayer money. And you can see that taxpayer money right now on display in Los Angeles. Meaning, you can see all that Democrats have invested in it. They have so many organizations that are receiving government funding, NGOs, to try to keep illegal immigrants here and to provide them services. When you start looking at the cost of what it has cost Medi-Cal, which taxpayers pay for, that's why this big, beautiful bill has upset them, because they're taking a look at the spending that is needed to support the infrastructure of illegality that Democrats have set up to maintain their political power in the United States of America. The Democrats' power is derived from illegality. And they don't want anything. Go look at what's happening, folks. This is why they're raising hell in New York. Because, like California, to a lesser degree, New York has a strong population of illegal immigrants. Nothing beats California. Colorado has done the same thing, which is why they're fighting like crazy to keep them. The entire infrastructure of their political power is based on keeping what is illegal permanent in this country and normalizing illegality to the point that people just close their eyes and say it's okay. And you hear them say that all the time. And the other thing that, we need a pathway we need a federal stamp. We need everybody to just agree that, we're so overwhelmed by the problem that we're going to forget about law and forget about the history and just say, okay, you can stay. Oh, you're here. What the hell? It'd be too cruel to remove you. And that's what's going on in the press right now. It is too cruel to remove people who have broken the United States law. And that's what the entire effort of the mainstream press is. That is what the effort is from these people like New York City Comptroller Brad Padilla Lander, from Alex Jose Padilla, if you're going to go with J.D. Vance's pronunciation of his name.
Nobody knew who that guy was.
Nobody knew who he was. It's an honest mistake. You served with him in the Senate. There's 100 people in there in the United States Senate. You know every 100 person by name? Even if you work there? Does Karen Bass know the names of everybody that works under her as mayor that she works with? No, but that one's gonna be the one. That's gonna be the big weekend. He ends up. By the way, how is calling a guy Jose insulting him? Yes.
On a very different note, we have a question here. Did Tulsi get canned?
No, Tulsi Gabbard didn't get canned. She just got Trump. He's the president, and she's not. So he's making it clear that it's his policy view that, no pun intended, trumps everything. That's all. She's not canned.
She's still in cabinet.
Yeah, she's still the director of intelligence.
Okay, cool. We like Tulsi.
Yeah. You like Tulsi. Why do you like Tulsi? Honestly, just tell me the truth. Why do you like Tulsi? I bet I know the answer.
Okay, she's cute. She also cute.
Okay, that's what I thought. I knew it. Oh, man, gotta love this. As soon as you hear it, you know who it is. Well, you know the song. Composer. Brilliant composition, too. And no matter what version of it is, it's still the same song, whether it's in the new movies or the old TV show. That theme from Mission Impossible came from Lalo Schifrin, whose birthday it is today. He's Argentinian born. He's an American pianist, composer, born in 1932. He also did the music, you Bruce Lee fans, for Enter the Dragon. He did the Dirty Harry films and Jaws. Coming back, Saturday Morning Vibe. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Ted, let's get you in here real quick before the top of the hour. How are you, Ted? Good morning.
Good. Listen to you. You're great. Listening to you to and from work. Christine Noem does all those commercials about self-deportation. Is there any stats on that? Is anybody doing it?
Yes. Yes, there are no official stats, but right now the number is being floated is that 1 million, so far, 1 million people have self-deported since Donald Trump's presidency.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering that. Okay, it's good, so it's working. Okay,
that part's working. Yeah, so far. So thank you. I'll have to dig out where they source that, but that was the number that was announced earlier this week, Ted. Great question. Thank you. Mark in New Jersey, you are up next.
Bo, how you doing?
Great.
Love the show. Bo, you there?
I'm here. I'm listening. Go right ahead. Rapid phones.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm going right to it. Yeah, you're right about all this. It's in the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, protecting the states from invasion. And 22 million people sounds like an invasion to me.
Yeah.
Yes, it's actually closer to 30 million now, and 11 million on purpose during the Joe Biden years, which was for a reason. Thank you, Peter, in New Jersey, staying in New Jersey. How are you, Peter? Good morning.
Hey, Bo, how you doing? Next month, this same organizer that organized the No Kings March is going to have another march next month. I think it's July 17th. They're commemorating somebody, but the reason I'm calling is when these people protest, they're walking in the street and they're blocking everybody's way. What gives them the right? Is there something in the
No, these are unlawful protests, and the only reason that in many cases, now there are exceptions, people that do have permits, and they have permits to be in specific places. But a lot of that you're talking about are people that are deciding for themselves that they want to protest, and they are unlawful assemblies. And basically, they're overwhelming law enforcement, or law enforcement in some cases is too timid to go out and start arresting these people en masse, as many of them deserve to be totally arrested for breaking the law. Thank you for the call, Peter. Joe in Brookhaven. Longer, how are you, Joe?
Bo, good morning. You nailed it again. And I want to say ICE, thank God for ICE and President Trump, what they're doing. We need mass deportations. The NGOs, the advocacy groups, they're making a lot of money off these illegals. I'm on Long Island. Bo, there's no job for the American citizens. They've overrun hundreds and hundreds of thousands on every construction job over here. There's no vetting. I don't know who's a murderer, who's a rapist. Maybe they're good people who go to church. Maybe they're not. We're all good people. But the American citizens, there's no job for us. 30 years in small construction out here, Bo. There's no job. So they got to stop hiring these illegals out here.
Well, you know what? I saw a construction worker talking the other day for the first time in ages that American workers are being hired to do construction work. Now, I don't know what state he was in. I think we played that soundbite during the week. But there are beginning to be shifts. And if we continue to see more, this leads into something else. Donald Trump is saying that he wants more trade schools. And, of course, this thing with Harvard is going on. They're looking at a settlement. We have gotten rid of trade schools on purpose. On purpose. And Donald Trump is pointing out something very, very key here about sustaining the American economy in a post-illegal immigrant world. How do you do it? People have to know trades. James Golden, Snerdley Saturday Morning Vibe. We're coming back. Lizzie will be with us. Our number uno in the can. Our number duo coming up. Whatever you do, keep it right here. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends. Our number duo is here on the Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222 if you want to reach us on the telephones. During the break, Carlos just told me on PMSNBC, the Padilla brothers were on, one after the other. Alex Padilla, who JD's on now, and also they had Brad Padilla on. Brad Lander, or Padilla Lander, is on the handcuff team. And there was a big article that reporter was talking about. There was a big article. We read it the other day. Democrats, more Democrats in handcuffs. And that's what that's all about. They want to get known. They want to increase their visibility. And to a degree, it seems to be working. How dare it, for people that don't follow the news, the low information voters, how dare they put a senator in cuffs? Nobody knew the guy. And I'm not going to revisit that again. We talked about it at the time, but the Padilla brothers are out making hay. With us now, ladies and gentlemen, she is the star anchorette of Red Apple Media, the advocate for her generation of young young, I didn't want to use a political term. I'll just say young go-getters in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, go get her. Go. What are they getting is the question. But nonetheless, the voice of her generation, we are so pleased to have her here with us every Saturday. Lizzie Radabali is here. Good morning, Lizzie.
Good morning, Bo. And yes, thank you for avoiding any political terms. I gotta keep my gusto as a news person. I gotta try to toe the line here.
That's right. Toe that line. Toe that line.
Just line dancing over here.
Lizzie.
Bo.
The car chases of old seem to be gone now.
Oh, yes.
We get.
Let's hit the gas with this segment and start with this story here. Police chase involved in South Carolina. We actually have two stories from the Carolinas today, but this one is in South Carolina. A police chase was involved with a huge tractor trailer that went the speed of 3 miles an hour, so slower than walking pace. The cops had to stop multiple times. So the story with this is this guy actually who was driving this tractor trailer. Police saw this, big tractor trailer driving on the road. They said, that's weird. Like, it's 3 a.m. and there's just a giant piece of farm equipment just strolling down the street, whatever. But then it turns out that guy actually was involved in a robbery, apparently. There was a business that was heavily damaged, and they saw that excavator, the tractor trailer, slowly making its way away from the scene of the crime. So the police cruisers, had to stop and slow down several times. The guy got out. He ended up stuck in the middle of a field. He drove out to the fairgrounds property and ended up trying to escape on foot, but he was caught by a drone and a police dog canine unit. So that slow chase came to a pretty anticlimactic end here. It just got literally stuck in the mud.
On a major highway going 3 miles an hour.
Yes.
What is the thought process here?
Imagine,
I'll outrun them in the excavator at 3 miles.
Imagine you're like on a road trip, like a cross-country road trip, and you just see that on like hour 6 of your drive. I'd pull over and take a nap because I'd think that I was hallucinating and seeing things. And also, you have to wonder, why didn't this guy switch vehicles? I mean, he does this robbery and, gets away, but he gets away in this giant, slow-moving farm
I know what I'll
equipment.
use for a getaway car. I'll use an excavator. Nobody will ever catch me.
I know. You try to put yourself in the shoes of this person. I mean, obviously, I've never committed burglary. I've never gotten involved in a police chase, so it's hard for me to kind of get in the mindset here. But I mean, man, you're just thinking like, this was a child left behind, unfortunately, in school. This person was not really thinking, and they could have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling drones and that canine dog. Man, it's just they almost got away with it.
And so that's South Carolina. What happened up in North Carolina?
Oh, in North Carolina, this story stuck out to me immediately because I actually have a story to tell, a personal story related to this story. But first, let's get to the actual news story here. A bunch of crickets were released in a Mecklenburg County Commission hearing. The hearing was on a local law enforcement training center. Apparently, someone inside the chamber released droves of crickets. Crickets started jumping everywhere. The town meeting was actually the live stream of this was pretty, it was very confusing because all of a sudden they just stop and they say, well, we have to stop right now. There's something going on in the chamber. And they wrap up proceedings. And yeah, they clean it up, though. These protesters were, of course, escorted out and they cleaned up and they were able to get back to work. They resumed this meeting and they passed some property tax hike or whatever. But first, I want to ask you, Bo, do you think this kind of protest, do you prefer, we talk a lot about these, disruptive protests that we're constantly seeing. What do you think of this method? This method
Creative.
that they used.
Creative, highly.
It is very creative.
It was a property tax hike, and apparently, I guess, from what you're telling me, someone did not want this property tax hike to go through. So
yes.
How do we stop them? We bring in the insects.
Exactly. And you know what? When I saw this story, it immediately stuck out to me because, not only is this crazy, and I was like, oh, this is perfect for to talk about with Bo, but also I have a personal tie-in with this story. Back in my high school, my senior year of high school, our senior prank, a lot of high schools, the senior class does some sort of prank. I've heard stories. I've heard some great senior prank stories, some honorable mentions. I've heard of people who brought like a cow on the second floor of a building. And if you know anything about cows, you can't apparently bring them downstairs or something like that. So like once they got the cow up the stairs, it's like, oh, now we got to find a way to get the cow down the stairs. And it was a whole big to-do. But in my high school, my senior prank was a bunch of kids, just like these protesters, released droves of crickets throughout the entire building. I mean, mostly, unfortunately, it was concentrated in the cafeteria. Not very appetizing to see. I mean, it happened on the last lunch period, the release of the crickets. So people were very much in the middle of eating their lunch when all of a sudden they just see a bunch of crickets hopping by them. And I do have to say, I think my high school outdid these protesters. They were able to come in and get a vacuum up these crickets from the protesters in North Carolina, I should say, pretty quickly. In my high school, it took them months. I came back for a visit after my graduation, and I still saw cricket corpses throughout the halls. It was nasty. So, I was like, this story, I was like, oh, my goodness, I wonder if they've heard of our senior prank. I wonder if they were inspired by my high school. So,
Lizzie,
maybe.
Wait. So, how were these crickets obtained?
Oh, our local neighborhood pet store. They sell these crickets to feed to reptiles. They actually went. I know. I don't want to incriminate myself here, but I know the person, one of the people who was kind of the ringleader of this event, and they went to 15 different pet stores to get the amount of crickets that we needed to. Well, not that we needed. I was not one of those. I did not release the crickets. Let me say on the record, I did not release any of the crickets. But
what's the name of the high school you went to, Lizzie?
It's out on Long Island. But
what's the name of the high school, though?
I think the statute of limitations for cricket releases has now passed. So I think I'm safe to say it was Baldwin High School out on the South Shore. So, shout out to Baldwin for that senior prank. I mean, it's history, and now people are copying us. It's inspirational.
It's inspirational. Jesus. Well, so now they're out there. Some people are out there kidnapping crypto traders.
Yes. No, this is actually a crazy, trend, this crime phenomenon that we've seen. We've even seen it here at home in New York City. There was a crazy story of an Italian tourist who was zip-tied and threatened for months for his crypto passwords. So this is, not unique to this happened in France. This is an international story. And it's actually a guy, the victim here is a famous TikToker. Well, I'll say famous. I mean, he has 40,000 followers, but I feel like to be famous on TikTok, you have to have like millions of followers.
Millions, I would agree.
Yeah, so
he's an aspiring influencer on TikTok.
Exactly. He's a micro influencer on TikTok, and he creates content around crypto trading and cryptocurrency. And apparently he was too flashy with his cash, with his crypto, I should say. And kidnappers demanded 50,000 euros from him, which translates to around $57,000. during, they beat him down, they kidnapped him, and then eventually they let him go because he was too broke. He showed him that he didn't have the money, so they just let him free. And I do want to say that when I read that they were demanding 50,000 euros, I was like, wow, that's a specific amount. If you got some crypto guy in front of you, I would expect that he has way more than that. If he's made a following and a whole platform off of this, why not just demand it all? I mean, you have the guy there. Demand it all. It's a cryptocurrency. You can't trace it. That's why this trend is happening. It's hard to, once your crypto is gone, it's gone. So this is a real problem that the industry has to figure out to protect their investors.
One of these days we got to take a closer look into that whole world of crypto. I spent a lot of time dealing with crypto in terms of investigating the news stories. Not only that, crypto and blockchain, all these digital currencies. The world is changing, Lizzie.
Yeah.
And for those that think crypto is going away, it is not going away. As you say, though, there is a lot of volatility, not just in crypto prices, but in what it means to have a digital system of currency that is untraceable.
Exactly.
Once it leaves your wallet.
Yep. Yeah. And I will say also there was a case with another mogul who was kidnapped and he got his finger severed. I mean, these guys are all obsessed with amputation. There's something weird because that was the same in the New York City case here. They were threatening to cut off his limbs. Something weird going on. We have to look, while we're looking at the regulations in crypto and the fluctuations, we also have to look at the psychology of why are all these guys obsessed with cutting off limbs? What's going on there? We have to dive deep.
Yeah, that will be a deep dive. Lizzie, a very deep dive. Oh, as always, thank you so much. Lizzie, I'm still looking forward to seeing what's happening with these now 80-something thousand people that Starbucks is supposed to be hiring. When you get an update on that, I'd love to know what's going on and if the wait lines at Starbucks are going down and are the young people that are moving into Starbucks any happier. Just one of these days, we'll get around to that, too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll keep my eye on that big green giant. Thank you, Bo.
Thank you, Liz. Lizzie, where can people find your show?
Oh, you can find us on WABCRadio.com. You could listen to the show or download it as a podcast anytime. We're live here on the New York side of our station on Saturday and Sundays at 5 a.m.
Lizzie Radabali, our very own Lizzie. Thank you, Lizzie. Appreciate you, love you. Thank you so much, Lizzie.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you.
James Golden, Snerdley. It is the Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222. Oh, we know this one. This is Otis. What's going on with Otis, Carlos?
It's a tomorrow celebration. This song went number one. Again, across the pond on this day in 1968. Really nice song.
Yes. The signature song, posthumous for Otis Redding. The plane crashed. Members of the Bar-Kays perished in it. He recorded sitting on the dock of the bay in the weeks before his death. The album came out, of course, afterwards and was phenomenal. James Golden and Snerdley, keep it right here. The Saturday Morning Vibe continues all across America.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Having trouble hearing in work meetings? Eventually you zone out. You've missed too much to catch up now. Get your confidence back with Nuance Audio.
Don't worry, I just spoke with the sales office, and they assured me the order has already been processed.
The new invisible hearing solution that's built into your glasses. Nuance Audio glasses help you hear better and reduce background noise, so you can tune into your meetings all day long. Learn more at nuanceaudio.com.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Hi, welcome to IKEA.
This is my college campus.
Correct, but I see you're on IKEA.com ordering some college items.
My daughter's room is pretty bare. We need a lamp, some comfy pillows, her favorite stuffy.
Dad! With pickup options, we've got what you need to conveniently order IKEA. Literally anywhere.
Sweet. More time for gaming.
And studying. Wait, where are you going now?
Got to show the ultimate Frisbee team how easy it is to order from IKEA. Get IKEA whenever, wherever, however you want. Choose from thousands of pickup locations, affordable delivery options, and more.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future. Sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Well, my friends, let us begin our dive into Protecting Your Future this week with Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. This is what she said earlier this week.
Here's my belief on what the secret theory is. They would like for undocumented immigrants and legal immigrants to stop contributing to Social Security so that it hurts the solvency of Social Security, so that they can then make the argument that they need to get rid of Social Security. Because they talk about this over and over again as if it's an entitlement program. It's not an entitlement program. It is an earned benefit program. You pay into it, you get out of it.
Yeah, but if you're taking more than you get, that you've put into it, then it is an entitlement program. And there is a new report this week. The report was from the Social Security and Medicare trust funds. That report says the outlook for Social Security has worsened for several reasons. And what is warning people is that in the next decade, people that depend on Social Security, who have Social Security, could see their payments reduced by 19% in 2034, 10 years from now. And also, the report says that Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is going to be able to pay 100% of benefits until 2033. At that point, the fund's reserves are going to be depleted, and income into the program is only going to be able to pay for 89% of the scheduled benefits, which almost arise. So Protecting Your Future says this. James says this. Bo Snerdley says this. Obviously, there's going to be political machinations. There always are. But these entitlement programs in America have been run like a Ponzi scheme, meaning they depend on more people coming in at the bottom to pay out fewer people at the top. And that money keeps the level of this keeps growing. It takes more and more people into the system to make sure those who are scheduled to get their benefits actually get their benefits. If you are among the people that are relying on this or think that you're going to have to rely on this for your retirement health and for your retirement financial security, I would suggest, humbly suggest, and I am not a financial planner, not trying to say I'm one, but just looking at the forecast, you better start thinking about something else. Now, do I think that it's political expediency that politicians will arrive at some solution to make sure that this doesn't happen? Of course I think that. Nobody wants to be on board or watch where they say, I'm sorry, we can't pay a significant amount of your Social Security bennies. They're going out the door. In fact, there was another story this week that for those people on Social Security, the COLA, the cost of living, may be going up more than they thought. It's funny to me when I sit and I look at the young guys, when you start talking about Social Security and all this stuff, the eyes glaze over. They're like, yeah. But as you get older and as you get closer toward retirement, these things matter. And you've been putting into it all your working life. And if it's not there for you, if your benefits are not going to be there for you, there's going to be hell to pay for somebody. But my advice would be look at other things on how to strengthen your portfolio. Yes, that should include precious metals. It should include any number of investments. If you're brave enough and if you think you understand the crypto world enough, something you may want to look at and get some serious advice before you do that. Very hard for people that are not in the world of digital finance to understand what's going on there. But there are other investments, tangible investments, metals, a tangible investment. There are, especially now that some of them in the state of Florida, we played that the other week, they're going to use precious metals, gold and silver, to be able to trade like currency. So that's really interesting. But you can look at any number of investments. You should be speaking with the financial planner, a certified financial planner that knows the business. Maybe talk to 2 or 3 before you settle on one and figure out what to do. Is protecting your future because, folks, they are entitlements, regardless of what Pramila says, because people are not getting the money they put in. They are getting a fraction of the money that they put in some cases, and then that's done. And they're paying out more than a lot of people ever pay into it. So in that sense, it is an entitlement. You pay into it when you start withdrawing, depending on how old you are and what your expectancy of life is. There are a lot of people who are taking far more out of Social Security than they put in and paid in. The same with Medicare. So in that sense, they are entitlements. But the solvency is an issue. So I would take care of business with that and plan aside. Plan for the worst case scenario. Because the best case scenarios always take care of themselves. Now, we talked about immigration. We've talked about so many other things here, but I don't want to leave this immigration issue completely alone just yet. There have been others, and I wanted to get to this during the week. I wanted to get to some of the unhinged and some of the drama around it with one of the sound bites from this week that blew people's mind because some of us lived through it, we remember it. But we didn't remember specifically how strident he was. And that would be cut 29, Billy Blue Dress, President of the United States of America. State of the Union had Newt Gingrich on one side and Vice President Al Gore on the other side. Al Gore, of course, of climate change, let's make millions on this climate hoax. This was then President William Jefferson Blythe Clinton. That is his name. 1995 State of the Union, and those people that are standing up applauding him, and the applause went on and on after he delivered this section of the State of the Union. Democrats and Republicans to their feet with a standing O for William Jefferson Blythe Blue Dress Clinton back in 1995.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Yeah, they really did applaud, and they kept applauding. We cut it because it just goes on. This was a very bipartisan point of view back in 1995. What happened? Democrats flooded the market with illegal immigration after that. Then we saw, that's when, by the way, California was still somewhat competitive. You had congressmen like B1 Bob Dornan down in Orange County, California. Those seats have long since gone because of population shifts. How did the population shift? Illegal immigrants. So you had California turn. Democrats began to understand the advantage they had politically through illegal immigration, and they never looked back. And old Bill Clinton, Billy Blue Dress, there sounds like some sort of relic from the old days. In Nashville, Tennessee, you have their mayor joining this whole chorus, that's Cut 24, Carlos, of people. They actually released information that doxed ICE agents and then tried to walk it back. In Nashville, in the red Tennessee, listen at this.
Do you believe that posting the names of federal immigration officers endangers them?
Well, this was really an issue where they were already part of a public record by being in Department of Emergency Communications calls, so I don't think it puts them at additional risk, but it's also not an intention of the executive order under which those names were released.
So if it doesn't put them at additional risk, why did your office decide to remove the names?
It wasn't an intentional process. We've had primarily using local departments. We've had multiple people whose names have been there, but again, this is something new. We're reviewing it. We've obviously had some concerns from DHS about release of those names. They would still be discoverable, but that was not an intent of the executive
Do you
order.
understand the concerns of DHS when they're talking about endangering federal immigration officers by posting the names?
I understand the concerns, but it's not a process that I would characterize as doxing. It was an unintentional release of names that were already part of a public record.
So would you agree with them that releasing the names endangers them, or was it just to kind of appease
I wouldn't
HSI?
say it was an endangerment process. I would say they may have some concerns. I'm far more concerned about the overall dynamic we have about unmarked, unidentifiable, masked people whisking people into vehicles. I think that's a bigger concern.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, speaking of those kind of arrests, they're talking about, I'm real concerned about taking unmasked people. These people are just so pathetic with that business. Here's what those arrests sound like. Cut 9. Here's what those arrests sound like in some cases out in California. Go ahead.
Did they cite you first, or did they just put you in handcuffs?
This is America!
Did they cite you first, or did they just put you in handcuffs?
They didn't cite me, no.
So they just put you in handcuffs?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the government code?
Come on.
No.
Come on, please.
No.
What happened to the oath?
No. These guys are trying to threaten me.
Now pick out a woman. What happened to the oath you took?
So are you gonna my hair in news report?
Oh, wait. Carlos, stop. I made a mistake here. That wasn't the immigration raids. That's when California government was rounding up people for not wearing masks who walked on the beach without a mask during COVID times. Oh, my bad. Oh, how could I make that such a mistake? The government, Gavin Newsom's government, sending out the stormtroopers to arrest people because they didn't have a mask on while they were walking around outside on a beach in California. My bad. I don't know how I could have ever made such a horrendous mistake as that. Now, let's get to arrest and what's going on in California. Cut 21. We'll stay to it as long as we can. It's a little long. We may bail out of it, but we'll just get a taste of it. This is
that's uncomfortable, right? Only Fox News was with ICE and HSI officers in Los Angeles as they moved in to take down a high-priority aggravated felon. His name is Alexander Palacios Guevara. DHS says he's a Salvadoran illegal alien and Sureños gang member with prior convictions for murder and attempted murder.
I have an immigration lawyer.
Guevara has had a deportation order since February 2024 and had been living freely in Los Angeles County, a sanctuary jurisdiction. Now that this convicted murderer is in federal custody, he's coming here to this ICE facility where he's going to be booked. They're going to take his fingerprints, take his biometrics. He'll be placed in a cell. But as we were reporting on what would happen next with Guevara, he interrupted us to repeatedly say he shouldn't be deported because he has a special form of relief called CAT. ICE says you have a deportation order since February 2024, sir.
No, I just got CAT on December the 18th. Of last year.
Oh, wait, we got to play this. I wanted to bail out of this.
It turns out his claim is true. ICE wasn't aware at the time of his arrest, but in the final days of the Biden administration, on December 18th, the BIA, or Board of Immigration Appeals, under the Biden Department of Justice, granted Guevara a relief known as DCAT, meaning deferred removal under the Convention Against Torture. It means Guevara can't be deported to El Salvador because he fears being killed or tortured. And the Trump administration is outraged about it. An ICE spokesperson tells Fox, quote, "This criminal alien should never have been roaming the streets of Los Angeles. Not only is he a member of the ruthless Sureños gang, but he also has multiple convictions for murder, assault, and rape or sexual abuse of a minor. A highly unusual Biden-era legal decision from December allowed this dangerous criminal to live in American communities." Are you a convicted murderer, sir?
I am free.
Are you a convicted murderer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And guys, after that interaction, we learned that ICE...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Biden administration, if they're murderers, give them a pass. Meanwhile, you have every mainstream outlet in America that's mainstream news trying to present the sob stories of everybody that's being deported, except for these guys. Tomorrow's the anniversary of Stevie Wonder, age 13, first entering the United States of America single charts with this one, Fingertips. By the way, drummer on this, Marvin Gaye, a young Marvin Gaye, the drummer. Amazing Motown history. Snerdley with you. It is a Saturday morning vibe. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's check out Ron in the beautiful state of Tejas, Texas, America. Ron, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, James. You might remember me. I talked about Cuomo helping terrorists convicted of murdering cops. Two different terrorists go free. The parole board, he still controls. They keep letting cop killers go. There's a guy's parole hearing they delayed who assassinated a cop until after the primary. Anyway, I was calling about Bloomberg, who's funneled $8 million into Cuomo's campaign. They're peas in a pod. Bloomberg has a history of women suing him for sexual harassment. And one time he said that he referred to women as fat bras and horse-faced lesbians. So that quote from Elizabeth Warren during the debate was accurate. So this New York's in really a sad position here with, the people who are running.
Yeah, and,
But
Cuomo was out. Cuomo, it was out harassing and talking ill of the DEI agents for wearing masks. This is the guy who forced New Yorkers into masks with no scientific evidence to prove that they work. This is the guy who forced elderly people into nursing homes where they died in mass and has never been held accountable for it. So, Ron, thank you for reminding us. Yep, New York faces Cuomo again. Let's go to Kathy in New Jersey. How are you, Kathy?
Hello, Bo. I'm okay. I'm very upset about this whole show because it just makes your blood boil. You know what I was thinking? We should have the Republicans, all the politicians, run ads, TV ads, commercials, have rallies, local and on a national scale, to bring these points out about how illegal immigration is affecting us relentlessly, just like the Democrats do. We seem to fall asleep at the wheel as Republicans. I'm a senior citizen.
I just want to cut you off real quick and I'm sorry for that, but they assume Donald Trump is going to do everything and that they don't have to back this effort that's going on with campaigning. Folks, the 2026 midterm election cycle is already underway. And Kathy here is 101,000% right. There should be a media campaign about everything that is happening now to focus the story for the American voters. Kathy, thank you. Brilliant call. Bob in Long Island, you are up next.
Yeah, how you doing, Bo? Great show. So, listen, I got a credibility problem, I think, with the United States. This whole thing with Ukraine used to have nuclear weapons, and back, I guess, Carlos said 94, we told them if you get rid of them and stuff like that, they would be defended by the United States and the European countries.
You know who signed that? You know who signed that agreement? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton told Ukraine, you guys get rid of your nukes, we will defend you from any aggression. Bob, you are 100% right. What do you think should happen?
I really don't know. I looked at what we did to Gaddafi. We said the same thing, if you get rid of your stuff or whatever. And what happened? Hillary Clinton ended up laughing her butt off when they took him
There's
out.
that name again, Clinton. The Clintons. We got to move. I'm sorry. Great calls. Thank you, folks. 800-848-9222. Our number duo in the can. Our number trio coming up. Of course, Princess Diana will be here. America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, will be with us in our number trio. So whatever you do, do not go away. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our number trio gets underway. Our trio means one thing.
It's time for a radio royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
She is the nest, the goodness of all things good, the intellectual ness of all things intellectual. And her analysis ness is always superb. But ladies and gentlemen, the Princess of Policy of these United States of America, our very own Princess Di, is in the house. Ness. Good morning, Ness. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Sir James. Ness, how are you today?
Oh, man. As long as you didn't call me Jose, I guess I'm okay because that's a new...
Oh, my goodness.
Do you think he did it on purpose?
No, I don't. I think it was, he did remember probably the name from his history and just as a slip of the tongue, which, of course, Biden used to do on a minute-by-minute basis. He would, talk to dead people, but that never sent everybody to the cameras to complain on their side. So, I thought his response was very funny, that he mixed up two lawbreakers, and so there you go.
Well, okay. Oh, by the way, thank you. You sent me a note that the next No Kings protest is scheduled for July the 4th. And there are, of course, some of the left are saying they're going to boycott July the 4th this year. And you said there's another protest planned for July 17th. Why?
Well, this is the No Kings thing. They think they had so much success, the first time around, which, of course, as I had predicted, I said there are going to be some big numbers in the blue cities, but other than that, it was going to fizzle, and I think that's exactly what happened. But they did get some good attention in their blue cities, and so they, want to do it again, which I think, you remember when Rush used to talk about how you throw a big party and it's such a success, and then people say, oh, we got to do it again, and it's never the same.
Never the same.
It's faked and whatever. So I think this is going to be even a little more of a fizzle than the first one. So, but what else do they have? They've got no success. They're down in the 20% approval rating. It's basically the same approval rating as, COVID. So they need to gin up something.
Okay, so Nate Silver is back. The liberal conservative happiness gap is real. What's that about?
Well, he had, I follow him on X, and he basically put out some very interesting statistics, and he even said it was a dicey subject and very, he was worried because he knew that the response of the left who follows him would be very angry, but he said it deserves further thought. And this was the information from a cooperative election study, the CES, in which they determined that in every single demographic, conservatives are far happier than liberals. And this was, a 60,000 person study. And they found this large happiness gap in men, in women, in whites, in blacks, in Hispanics and Asians, in all generations, in all education levels, in all income levels, in all religious status, in all marital status, in all sexual orientation status and political interest. This was across the board. Conservatives were significantly happier than liberals. And so this was a very, very extensive study, which he was pulling out all of the details of. And he was basically admitting that this was going to cause problems because leftists do not like hearing that. He said it's a touchy subject. But I think he's right. I think that this is something that needs to be looked into. I think we experience in our own lives, we understand. And on your show, every single day, you play the audio of liberals who are clearly unhappy and angry. And this is, they are taking to their cars and videoing themselves being angry and being upset and being, mentally ill. And so this is something we see, in examples all around us, the anger and unhappiness and mental problems of the left. And so he came up with 3 theories as to why. And one of them was that, that liberals have more empathy and that conservatives are selfish. So that the fact that liberals have more empathy, that's why they're less happy, because they are accurately looking at the world, which is a terrible place, and looking at America, which is a terrible place, and looking at their own nation, which is racist, sexist, homophobic, etc. And so that's one theory he has. And conservatives are only happy because they only think about themselves. And the second theory is that oppressed people become liberals because they believe that the government can help them. So that's the basic attraction to some liberals. And then his third theory is that it's a self-defining category of misery loves company. And that is, what attracts liberals to liberalism is that they see all of the anger coming from that side of the political equation. And so they like being in a group that feels like they do, that life is terrible. So that's his three theories. But I think that, frankly, there's a lot more to it. I hope he's right, that it spurs analysis. And I'm glad that he's noticing and he's putting it out there, honestly, that this is a true thing that we experience in our own observations. But the left refuses to admit. They love the polls that show that they're so much smarter than conservatives, which of course are, they tout all the time, which is not true, but they put out those polls. But I have a feeling this is not going to be looked at more deeply by anyone in academia. And so I wanted to note it and say we really appreciate this information. It confirms what we observe. And I have a theory, if you'd like to hear it.
I would love to hear your theory.
Okay, well, I think if you read one sentence in the Declaration of Independence, I think that it puts its finger on a lot of this. And here's the sentence. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think that the key is endowed by their Creator. People who believe in a Creator will find this sentence rings true. People who do not believe in the Creator, and that was one of the most unhappy groups in this demographic study, is people who are atheists. And so the pursuit of happiness in a free country is something that conservatives hold dear. And if you have unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, liberals don't believe in any of that. They don't believe in the right to life. They don't believe in liberty, as you see by their overregulation of everything. And the pursuit of happiness requires that liberty. And so their entire mindset is anti the Declaration of Independence, most important sentence. And as you and I have discussed many times, that sentence was not lived up to initially by this country, where all men are created equal was supported by law. And so that is a value that we aspire to, and I think that sentence explains a great deal. You've got the left, which, if you look at the 7 deadly sins, that is what, you've got pride, you've got wrath, you've got envy, you've got lust, you've got sloth, you've got a lot of Democrat policies which could be argued support those things. And you see the result. These are angry, resentful, envious people who are anti-God, anti-family, and anti-America. So, and also, one of the secrets to happiness is a sense of humor. And we have always observed that the left can't mean, the left can't laugh. They are too busy scolding the rest of us for using the wrong pronouns, and they can't laugh at themselves. And as James Carville said before the election, he said the problem with the Democrats is there are too many preachy females. They're dominating the culture. The message is too feminine. Everything you're doing is destroying the planet. You've got to eat your peas. And that scolding, angry, attitude is pervasive on the left. And I think that's one of the reasons that you see unhappy people who are drawn to that philosophy. What do you think?
I think that makes perfect sense. I would say that to a degree, the 7 deadly sins afflict all of humanity in a way, but you see it pronounced in the left, and you see it pronounced openly in the left because they don't. The thing about everyone else, the thing about people, as you say, whose belief is structured on something, the power, the Creator, something higher than their own being. The thing about that is even when you're struggling with the human condition, which is that we are all beings in need of salvation, when you realize that, you're working toward making yourself a better person. When you have no moral foundation whatsoever, anything goes all the time. You are not accountable to anything. You're not accountable to anybody except your own hedonism, your own lifestyle, whatever you think. You think you're God, and that's right. It. And that's what defines and informs the lives of so many on the left. And you see that in these attitudes that they have. That's what I think.
I agree with you completely. And I think also, you're tossed by the billows. You have no discernment. You are, bound by fear and terror and lies. And so if you have no hope, you have no optimism, you have no ability to defer gratification, you're always offended and upset because you're believing the lies. I think that, that being on the rock and on the foundation of a belief in the Creator and belief in God, it makes the difference between being able to pursue happiness and the left, which I think liberals can be defined as the pursuit of unhappiness.
Wow. I like that. Liberalism, the pursuit of unhappiness. Diana, that's brilliant. That is what liberalism is, the pursuit of unhappiness. Brilliant stuff.
I'm with you.
Princess Diana, keep it right there. Stay there. We're gonna go to my favorite, how shall we say, game with you.
Oh, no.
Which is reacting to the sound bites, some of the sound bites, since you mentioned it. I got a few. Marvin takes us in. James Golden and Snerdley. Keep it right here. The Saturday Morning Vibe continues.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I shot me in the nuts, and now I'm losing a ball. Surgery is tomorrow. But you know who else only had one ball? Tupac and Hit.
We never found out what happened to that guy, whether his surgery to get him a one-pack was successful or not. Cyndi Lauper brings us back. James Golden, Snerdley. Is it Cindy's birthday? Yeah, tomorrow's Cyndi Lauper's birthday. Happy birthday, Cyndi Lauper. Brilliant. Princess Diana is with us. Okay, Princess, let us start right away because time is fleeting. Here is the first one. Tell me.
So you're telling me that if the big, beautiful bill passes, I will lose everything. I will lose the bottom surgery that I have been on a wait list for 2 years. I will lose my testosterone, all gender-affirming care. Gone. Just gone. And y'all are okay with that. You think that trans people shouldn't exist, so you're trying to eradicate our health care. I thought you cared about kids. Because, they're about to die.
Before you react, Princess Di, we got another one, 25, Carlos.
Hi, my name is Jessica. The big, beautiful bill will force people like me to detransition. We will not be able to afford our gender-affirming care, such as hormone replacement therapy or gender-affirming surgeries. This is not only unethical, it's also a civil rights violation. Being transgender or having gender dysphoria is a long-established medical reality. There is absolute scientific and medical consensus across all disciplines that people like me, that trans people do exist, and we need health care. This bill will strip away my rights and also the rights of other millions of women and children will lose medical benefits and food assistance benefits. Also, a small group of ultra rich and powerful people and corporations can get their tax cuts. And also, so the military can increase its budget to $1 trillion. This is not right. If you care about vulnerable people, such as women, children, minorities, and trans people in the United States of America, then please do something about it. Call your senator or make a Facebook
Princess
post.
Di, your reaction.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you, if anytime you hear these terms like, medical consensus, you got red flags. And the entitlement attitude toward taxpayer dollars for this is off the charts. It's like, okay, you people need to pay for my delusions, and you taxpayers, you shouldn't want to have a stronger military budget. You should be putting the money into our problems. So I think the language is typical leftist. They're calling things gender-affirming care, which sounds so lovely, and health care, which it is not. So I think that, fortunately, there are not going to be billions of people calling their senators about this.
Oh, boy, you think now, huh? All right. Let's try this one on for size. Carlos, 17, we played it early. I want to get your take. Got to do it quick.
I'm sick of Donald Trump. I'm sick of his policies. I'm sick of being treated like a second-class citizen in the United States of America because I am a minority and a woman. I'm sick of not having health care. I'm sick of not earning a livable wage. I'm sick of everything this country represents right now. And most of all, I'm sick that we did not get to have Kamala Harris as our president.
Princess?
I think that proves my point, my thesis. The anger there and the rage there and the lies there are off the charts. Liberals. Well,
we're not done. And so I'm going to ask you to come on. I got a few more of these I got to get to. So, Princess Di, keep it right there. Princess Di is here, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up in the program a little bit later on, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, joins us. We're going to squeeze in some calls, too. So, whatever you do, don't go away. Stay right there.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Friendly reminder, as a white American woman, I will no longer be dating white men. I'm looking for anything other than a white man, okay? Just a heads up.
First of all, there's going to be a lot of guys that thank her. But then she ain't going to, well, never mind. I'm going to leave that alone because I'm not going to talk about the way people look. This song, which became a big hit for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, was written by American singer and songwriter Brenda Holloway. Those of you deep into the Motown era will remember Brenda Holloway, Motown artist, had a hit, Every Little Bit Hurts, When I'm Gone, and she wrote this. 1969 went in the top 10 for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Happy birthday, Brenda Holloway. With us, Princess Diana. Princess, I have two more for you.
Okay.
One, this is, well, I don't even want to characterize it. Just, I'll let you characterize it. 32, Carlos, just hit it.
Hey guys, so what are we going to do when it finally happens? And y'all know what I'm talking about. I told my wife that if we are ever sitting there, or anywhere for that matter, and we get a breaking news flash across our phones that it has finally happened, I don't give a where we are at, what we are doing. I could be in the middle of like the biggest banking meeting with investors of my life. If I see that come across on my phone, I am excusing myself out of whatever the hell I'm doing, and I'm going to the nearest bar. I am getting faced can like it is 2005 again, and I've got my Miss Me jeans on and my bedazzled belt and all that good. Everybody in the bar is getting shots on me. I have this giant box of fireworks that I bought for election night when we all thought Kamala was going to win. I will light those off of a rooftop in the middle of downtown Oklahoma City. I will hoot and holler. Hell, I might even call a mariachi band. Anybody got a mariachi band on call? Because let me tell you, the day that happens, it is going to be like the 4th of July. And you know what? I don't even care if that means J.D. Vance becomes president. Failed drag queen J.D. Vance becomes president. Because he will faceplant so hard. He is the most unlikable, dude on the face of the planet. He has no charisma. So the cult will eventually start dying off because nobody's getting on board with J.D. Vance. So I'm not even mad at that. Let him come and face plant, and in a few years we can wrap this up the way that it should have been, vote all these mother out of here, and go dance on somebody's grave.
Princess?
Oh, my goodness. Well, she's talking about, the same thing that Comey mentioned, which I really don't like saying out loud, which is, 86-47, that kind of thing. And the joy and the thrill that leftists get of thinking about violence toward our president is distressing. But it started in his first term. So, you remember the actor class and the holding up of the fake severed head of Donald Trump and the bang shooting in a play of the actor looked like Donald Trump. This is a fantasy that the left has had, and I do not know why they indulge it, but they all do. They just are thrilled at the thought of violence happening to Donald Trump. And I think this shows the poisoning of their own souls.
Let me leave you with this next one. I thought, Rush used to talk about how sometimes profundities are just happen so quickly and brevity. And this is one that captures brevity. I want to see what you think about it. Cut 10, Carlos. And it's also a topic that came up a lot during the Rush years. Cut 10. And it's kind of self-explanatory. A woman is on a beach, and this profundity comes very quickly.
So, fines and imprisonment for harming these preborn sea turtles, but totally fine if I wanted to my preborn human.
That's it.
Amen. Couldn't said it better.
Amen. Fines and imprisonment if you harm a preborn turtle, nothing if you harm a preborn human.
The truth is powerful.
Well, Princess Diana, thank you for sticking with us. As always, such an amazing pleasure. And this happiness poll, yes, ladies and gentlemen, stay happy. Wouldn't you agree, Princess Diana?
I do. And how you do it is you keep your eyes on God. That's it.
Amen to that. Thank you, Your Highness. Princess Diana, ladies and gentlemen.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's go to Bruce in Nassau County, Long Island. Bruce, how are you?
How you doing? Man, today was one of your best shows I've ever heard. In the first segment, as we all know, isn't education always the answer to fix society? A failing education system equals a failing nation. On the second half of your show,
go ahead.
I really go ahead.
No, you go ahead. This is your call.
Okay. In the second half of your show, I really believe people have a problem due to all this, the disruption in people's lives due to internet and online problems, and the need to be constantly on the phone and on the internet. I think people's problem is people are having a problem with their own self and taking accountability for one's own personal life to be successful. And because of the problem, they're constantly searching and needing everybody else to give them accountability, which means that
give them affirmation for their own choices. Bruce, brilliant. And I thank you. Got to grab some other quick calls very quickly. Cliff in Maryland, thank you for waiting. What's on your mind this morning?
What's on my mind this morning is if they're going to wear masks, they should wear the mask of the Lone Ranger. You remember the Lone Ranger? He was a great guy, and he had...
Yes, Kimasabi. But sadly, these days with imaging software, they would still be able to track them. And the whole point is so that the left cannot track these ICE agents down, harass them, threaten their families, or do bodily harm to them as they want to do. In fact, we didn't get to a soundbite today of a guy who wants to is actively encouraging people to take up arms against ICE. So there is a reason that these people have to be protected. Very quickly, Bob in New Jersey. Got just a few seconds and we got to hit to a break.
Oh, he's getting to me. All right.
Yes, Bob, go right ahead.
Oh, how you doing? How you doing, Bo? I'm sorry. I thought you said that you had a break. But it's the moderate voice. I'm in Long Branch, New Jersey right now, and I'm a Republican. Do you think it's really feasible to come down to Long Branch? I don't know the last time you've been down the beautiful town of Long Branch, and ask like 95% of the people, when are you going to leave? Do you remember back about 15 years ago, there was a San Diego State University, and there was a debate. And what has been done since then? Excuse me, because I'm taking the tire off, changing my brakes. But if you could respond, is there a way to echo or to repeat what Ronald Reagan did and put naturalized people that have been here? I'm a Republican, by the way.
It was a mistake. What Ronald Reagan did was, let me just stop you there, was to me the biggest mistake of his career. He trusted Democrats. And what Bob here is referring to is Ronald Reagan gave amnesty to a lot of illegal aliens, and he did so with the condition from the Democrat Party, okay, we're going to do it this once, and that'll be the end of it. So they got naturalized, and of course, right away, what did they start doing? Allowing more illegal immigrants in. You cannot make a deal with Democrats. Making a deal with a political party that lies and that supports lawlessness has proven to be the wrong way to go. But I don't doubt. Look, Ronald Reagan had a good heart, and that's why he did it. And he wanted to make a good deal with Democrats. But Democrats are untrustworthy as a political party. So, no, we cannot ever make that mistake again. James Golden, Snerdley. Captain and Tennille. Of course, this is a Neil Sedaka song that went number one for Captain and Tennille. Always loved them. James Golden, Snerdley. Coming back. America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Let's get real close to hear the maximum sizzle of Comfort Inn's free hot breakfast. Maximized. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
This episode is brought to you by Hulu, presenting Paradise. Paradise is Hulu's critically acclaimed addictive drama series starring Sterling K. Brown, Julianne Nicholson, and James Marsden. The Daily Beast calls Paradise your next TV obsession, and the New York Times says it's exhilarating in all the right ways. Paradise is for your Emmy consideration in all categories, including Outstanding Drama Series. For more information, visit fyc.hulu.com.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yeah, it was Captain and Tennille. We played that going into the break. They were at number one on the charts back in 1975. Right now, number one in America's Hearts, America's Small Caffeinated Mom. Rhonda Schrock joins us. Hello, and welcome back, darling.
Good morning, James. I tell you, Saturday mornings are just not the same without this conversation. I have really missed you.
And I missed you too, and so did we all. So what is on your mind this morning, Rhonda?
Well, 3 months ago, a baby girl joined our extended family. When she came, she arrived with a congenital heart condition, and we all knew that she was going to have an open heart surgery. Well, it came much quicker than all of us were expecting because she began to decline. And so at the very tender age of 2 months old, that little baby was undergoing heart surgery, 2 open heart surgeries in 3 days' time. When a family member called and said she is on life support, those 2 words just stuck in my brain, and for a month I have been thinking about that life support. For baby M, as I will call her, life support meant that machines were keeping her alive. The picture showed an absolute bank, a wall of machines that were keeping that precious little soul tethered to this earth. It was almost overwhelming to look at all the technology that was required to keep her alive. She had nurses in her room round the clock, watching her every split second. She was receiving excellent care. Well, one day, as I was driving to work, I passed the farm that has the pasture and the sheep. The lambs were out feeding with their moms. And every time I go by that pasture, I think of the 23rd Psalm, and these words come to me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Well, that day, I noticed that one of the lambs was hobbling along on 3 legs. One of the legs was like bandaged, and he was just limping along, and I thought of baby M, and I thought how she herself was a wounded lamb, unable to move around, unable to breathe, not even able to suckle, just tied to all those machines. I thought of her parents and her grandparents and her aunts and uncles who were just breathless with anxiety and worry. And as her grandmother said, she's got us on an emotional roller coaster. And you could hear it in their messages. Fear, and then hope, and then terror, and then hope, and it was up and down, and she would improve, and then she would decline, and it was just heart-wrenching. Their lives were being upended by this one tiny life, and I thought, that's what love will do. Well, as I drove along, I thought how baby M and her entire family had a shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. And the Lord, I knew, was their shepherd, and he was supporting them during this terribly difficult time. In a very real sense, the whole family was on life support, and they were leaning on that shepherd for their courage, their strength, for hope, for just the energy and peace to make it through another day. He truly was their great support and their rock. Well, they will need that life support now more than ever, because last night the word came that baby M had, in her mother's words, run into the arms of Jesus. Her life down here has ended, but they know where she is, and her parents are heartbroken, but they are glad that she is pain-free. I reflected back over my own life, and I saw threaded through all the years the presence of that same shepherd. When I am sad, I find comfort in him. When I'm glad, I feel his joy and his delight with me. When I'm overwhelmed, James, I go to him, and his peace restores me. When I am weak, he fills me with strength to do the things I need to do. And when I'm weary, he carries me along. When I'm afraid, and I'm not naturally a courageous person, James, you might not know that. I have battled fear throughout my life. So when I'm afraid, I tell it to him, and he is greater than all of my fears. In times of darkness, I have found him to be the light, and the darkness must always give way to the light. It can never exist in the presence of light. When I am frustrated and just flat mad, I don't hold back. I tell him exactly how I feel, and he listens to me without scolding, without condemning, and then quietly comes the wisdom and the insight that I need. The primary way that I access this for me, that lifeline, is prayer. It is an absolute lifeline because it connects me to the source of all power and love. It is, in all reality, my life support. And it has nothing to do with how great my prayers are or even how great my faith is. It has everything to do with the object of my faith. That's the key. When I have just even a tiny scrap of faith to take it to him, I know it will be taken care of because he's the greatest source of power and love in the universe. Another precious form of life support for me, and this, our family is going to need it, our extended family. They are my good friends. I have good friends who pray for me, and they listen to me, and they tell me the truth, and they support me through the good and bad times. And I thought again as I was writing how important it is that we surround ourselves with good friends, good people who are full of integrity, character, wisdom. That is critical to getting through life. And when I can't figure something out, usually one of them will know what to do, or they'll have a scrap of wisdom that will sustain me. They are priceless. It is good to stop periodically and evaluate our lives, to look at our habits. Are we living in healthy ways? Are the habits we practice daily supporting life or death? Do the voices we listen to speak life or death? The words we say, do they bring life or death to those around? It's important to stop and look at this once in a while, because all of these things matter, because these things are affecting us and they affect those nearby. The way we live daily will bring support, i.e. life, to others, or we will foster death in small and large ways. We can encourage, we can discourage, we can build up or tear down. We can contribute to the healing of people nearby, or we can create further wounds. The choices are ours, and our choices matter. Just like our precious baby M, we who know that beloved shepherd, we live under his watchful eye. He tends to us around the clock. I feel that careful and loving attention. He never leaves. He never forsakes. He's with us in our distress, because that's what love will do.
Wow. Rhonda, number one, profound. So very, very profound, especially for people that know people that have gone through this themselves. And secondly, please extend to the parents of baby and the love, not only from yours, but from so many in this vast audience who I know right now are wishing that you would do that. Express to them the love through you and through the sharing of this story, and the hopes that they will be able to move past this very, very difficult moment in their lives. It's truly profound.
Oh.
Where can people find your essay, Rhonda?
It is on thedailybs.com, and my website is rhondaschrock.com. Not all stories end like we want them to end, but for her, she has the happiest of endings. And endings down here make room for new beginnings up there. And that is their hope, and that is their certain belief. And that will see them through this incredibly difficult time.
Amen to that. Rhonda, thank you so much, as always. So glad you're back, and we love you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you, too. Thank you, James.
James Golden, Snerdley here with you. In the moments before the program ends, I just got a brief text from John Catsimatidis about a New York mayoral candidate running for New York. Zoran, his name is Mamdani. This is the guy that wants to have the government open up stores, government stores, get support. And this is an article about a rap track praising the Holy Land Five, who were convicted of funneling $12 million to Hamas. And this was uncovered. So you have a candidate running for mayor in New York, 2017, who released a rap track, praising a group that was convicted of funneling over $12 million to Hamas, running for mayor in New York. My friends, what a day. Thanks, of course, to all of you, to the crew. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God, please protect all of you, your families, your loved ones. Until next week, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?